So we're getting right here, ready to start our live. Hey everybody!
Oh, and the live is on.
Yeah. Hey everyone! So I am Christy.
Shirley.
And so we're here. We're Geekettes Chat. We discuss our opinions, share stories, and talk about culture related everything to film. And we are here with our special guest, Maggie from Pinkleo Productions. Hey, Maggie.
Hi. Thank you guys for having me.
No problem.
Thank you for being on.
Yay. Why don't you talk a little bit about your production company before we begin?
Yeah, so my name is Maggie. I am Dominican. I live here in the Bronx in New York City, and I have my own production company called Pinkleo Productions, where I do a lot of original content relating to Latina, people of color, and feminists. So everything that I talk about is basically critiques on media based on those three things. And I also do like short films and blogs and TV pilots. I do a little bit of everything, podcasting, anything that has me talking about media and, like you guys said, like culture and feminism.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool. Great. Thank you for being with us. Thank you to agree to do the review with us. We're doing Have I Ever, which is a Netflix show. And Shirley will start off with a little synopsis of the show.
Okay.
And then we'll get right into the review.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes I bring up the fact that, like, with these shows, I didn't know about this show. Like with every Netflix show, it's my sister who brings this up. Like, she's like, "Have you seen this show? Like, this show is actually really good." I'm gonna be honest. I'm a lazy viewer. I just go back to the shows that I've watched before. Like I don't want to start new shows. I don't know if you understand that, but like that's just who I am. So like my sister's like, "You have to start this new show." What do you want to say, Maggie? I'm sorry.
No, that's definitely true, especially like during this quarantine time. I feel like we need familiarity and comfort, and I'm always I mean I watch new stuff, but I'm mostly watching like the rotation of like old shows on rotation.
Yeah. So I'm just lazy like that. I'm going to be honest. I'm a lazy viewer. So my sister was like, "Oh, this show's really good. Let's do a review with Maggie. She's amazing." I was like, "All right." So I watched it on Tuesday and I like binged the whole thing in a day. That's how good it was. Like I was shocked because I'm not like a teen comedy like fan. Like I don't really like those movies compared to my sister. But it was like very engaging. So basically, Never Have I Ever is teen American like comedy coming of age story. Basically, it's kind of partially based on Millie Kaling's I think life growing up as she's Indian descent, of course, and so she's I think she grew up in the Boston area, even though the show is set in Sherman Oaks, California. So, so this is just about this young girl. She's like 15, sophomore year. She just had the worst like freshman year ever. Her dad, sadly, he had a heart attack and he died, which was sad to me too because I love that actor. When I saw he was on the show, I was like, "Oh my God, he's so hot." Do you ever watch Heroes?
Yes, that's where I know him from.
Yeah, that's where I know him too. And I was so hyped when he was on it. I was like, "Yeah, he's on it." And then he died. And I was like, "Oh no." Oh wait, was I supposed to give that away? I'm sorry. That's a thing that's known though in the beginning of the episode. So so yeah, she just wants to, I guess, to not deal with her trauma of losing her father. And she also lost the ability of her legs for 3 months. She just wants to have a boyfriend. She's obsessed with this like heartthrob junior high school guy. What was his name again? I totally forgot his name. Paxton, yes. And she has this nemesis, Ben, who their academic nemesis. She has these two best friends who I loved. I love their friendship. I'm going to talk about that more. What was her friend's names? I'm sorry. Fabiola and Eleanor, right? Yes. I love them. So, yeah. And so she's just trying to, I guess, find herself and get over her trauma, and that's what the show is about. Of course, it's a coming age story. So who wanted to like bring up something about the show?
Yeah, let's kick it to Maggie first to see what she wants us to share about the show, any general comments, and then we can go into more specifics. But before that, I just want to say, hey, Mr. Drumsticks, thanks for joining us on the show.
Yay! It's our cousin Gabriel.
Gotta give him a shout out.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But yeah, go ahead, Maggie.
The same thing happened to me. So I did my review already. It's up on my channel. Mm-hmm. I also watched it all in one sitting, all in one day, and I kind of regret it because it's such a great show that I kind of wanted to space it out. Mm-hmm. I often felt that this was the kind of show I would have loved to have seen growing up. Mm-hmm. And even though I had things like Degrassi, and even later on I had something like Awkward, which I compare the show to, I don't think we saw a lot of diversity, or like enough diversity like we did in this show, because her best friends are also Asian, and Fabiola, she's Latina, and they are that same ethnicity in real life. Like the actors are playing those roles are actually from the countries that they mention, or from the ethnic background that they mention. And I love the show. I think the reason why, like, even people that don't like young adult coming of age stories like this one is because I think it's a lot more like deeper than that. I think it's a lot about like grief and going to therapy, and really seeing like it's really is about having that step, because at the very end of the show, I don't want to give anything away, but it's really her grief journey. It's just masked in all of these other like teen angst and comedy. At the very end of the day, it's her trying to really reconnect with her dad, whom she had a very special relationship with. But I think one of my favorite things was, yes, the friends, the diversity, not just only within like the ethnicity, but also we saw one of the characters. She's a very famous actress that just happens to have Down syndrome. She was Pat's sister. So even though she didn't have like a big role, the fact that her character had agency and had a personality, and it wasn't just about her disability or developmental disability, it was about her like being like this fashionista and all that stuff. Like I like seeing something like that. Paxton himself was like half Asian, and people made fun of his name. Like there was like all these little things mixed in there. And then so the fact that she was first generation, I mentioned this, like I did a post about it, and it was about like her being first generation, and me being a very young immigrant. Like I came here when I was 3. I feel sometimes like I'm part of that group, even though I'm not, because we do struggle with like, am I like American where I live now, or how much of my culture am I keeping? And like there's like a very special episode where they do like this celebration, and she feels like, I don't feel very Indian. And like there's like a lot of like, are you enough or not enough of your culture, which I really like. So I think the show has a lot more than just being a teen show. It's just masked in that. That's why I like it.
Yeah. And I do like the fact that what you were bringing about that, did she feel Indian enough or not, or she's more American? Because it is kind of true, because when you're young, it's like, I don't really want to do that stuff about like stuff that have to do with your culture and all that stuff, because you grew up with I guess for us, I should speak for us, the American way. So, or whatever the hell that means,
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, my mom is Guatemalan, so, and my dad's Puerto Rican. So it's like, of course, Puerto Rico is an American colony. It's like, oh, you don't really want to practice it. You just want to watch American like movies or blockbusters or whatever. But then when you grow up, you start to realize you don't want to lose that, and how important it is, because it's part of your identity. And I think she's realizing too. That's when she had that conversation with that one of her, I guess, her friends or people that she knew. Yeah. And I thought that was an important conversation that she had with him, because it was like, oh wait, this is actually very important. like this makes us who we are, but also, you know, we could also grow from that like bring different aspects to that, I guess, our culture as well, what we feel and our beliefs. I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Yeah,
like I guess
I feel like the right way to say it.
yeah, so I guess it's just finding the right mesh of like our views with also our like culture.
Yeah.
And all
Yeah,
of
that's
that.
cool.
So.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I totally agree with you. The diversity is amazing. What I felt when I saw this show, first of all, when I first started watching it, I was like thrown off. Like, who's this character? Like, Debbie's so, like, so she's funny. She's violent a little bit, you know. And I was like, this is a real teen. It felt like I was watching a real story where it's not just a superficial, yeah, it has that old boy crazy, like I need to find a boyfriend thing to it, because hey, that's what every teen drama has, right? So you gotta just add that. But it was just like you said, the grief. I felt like she was violent a little bit, because like not violent in the sense like physically, but like verbally sometimes, and I was like, yeah, she's just being real. It's like, and
she was complex,
very complex character. And I love the tone shifts in the show, meaning that it went really smoothly from really high intense drama to comedy, and just for me the most smoothest way ever. And I found myself laughing my head off to a lot of the scenes. So kudos to the freaking writers who were like, I mean, her mother in the show, who's
I loved her mother,
who's played by.
She reminds me of my mother in so many.
Yeah, she's played by Puna Janatha. I can't say her last name right. Sorry. And she was just she was the best. I felt like she brought so much cultural history into the show. With their Hindu religion, and she was just expressing it throughout the show really intensely sometimes, where Debbie was like, the main character was just like fighting back, like struggling with her identity. And I love to see that push and pull in this show. And so it felt really true and really fresh. And fresh, when I mean by the sense of fresh, I mean like something completely different from what I typically see in TV shows. Like you mentioned Degrassi, you know, we've seen all those shows. Degrassi. I was thinking about like 80s and 90s shows that I can like kind of like, you know, pin this one with. And I felt like I couldn't, because she had two best friends. Normally when you see these teen dramas, it's like the girl is by herself. She doesn't really have her friends. It's usually the guys who have the friends, the two friends or the one friend. And so here is a strong female character. She has her two friends. They're both smart, intelligent, creative. I loved it. It was just a blast to watch. Something fresh and new. So yeah, I'm so happy that Mindy Kaling put this project together. So yeah.
Can't wait for season 2.
I know. So yeah, shocker, season 2. There's going to be a season 2, right, Maggie?
I think so, yes. I want to say too that this is really, like, if you've ever watched other things by Mindy Kaling, this is Mindy Kaling. Like, her characters are always like that. I at the very beginning, I didn't know where to place something like the Mindy Project. Have you guys watched it?
I have.
I haven't.
It's on Hulu, and it's one of those shows where it's supposed to be like comedy, but it has so much heart, and there's a lot of like social conversations thrown in there that you're like, where can I place this? And I think that that's why her coming of age story is also like that, where like you said, it's like a lot of drama, but then there's like, I mean, the scene when she thought that she saw her dad as the, what was it, like the fox or the animal?
The coyote? I think it was the coyote. Yeah.
Oh my God. And like her conversation for her therapist. Yeah. Also Mindy Kaling's like characters, particularly when she did the Mindy Project, were just like Debbie, in that they were like nerds, but they were like outspoken nerds kind of thing. Yeah. Where girl that we typically see, and oh, she likes to jock, and I don't want to say anything. Like Debbie made a I think episode 1 or 2, I think she made a list, and she's like, okay, this is how we're gonna get back on track. you know, she, even though she wanted to be popular, she was smart. And then one of her things on the list was asking this guy to, you know, to have sex with her. And she went up to the guy and she was like, "Can you, like, are you gonna do this job, or what's gonna happen?"
Wow,
I
need to
know,
watch the
man.
show. That sounds interesting.
So yeah, so I was a little bit like that when I was in high school. I was very like nerdy, but very outspoken. Out of all my friends, I was like the crazy one, I guess. So I relate to Debbie a lot, and I think that her anger also, it is part of like her whole way of manifesting grief. Basically, she never really got over the death of her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the psychiatrist, right? Who's played by Nishi Nash.
Yeah. Oh, she is so good.
She is so good. I feel like her character is so human.
Yeah, like she was just reels with her.
Yeah.
It was too funny. I loved her, man.
There was this one thing I reposted where Debbie says, "Oh wait, are we allowed to?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Debbie goes, "I don't give a fuck," and then her therapist says, "You give too many fucks. That's the problem."
Right? She was like, "Wait for the streets." Yeah.
It's so real. And the conversation with her mom, like the mom even went to go to see her daughter's therapist at one point.
Yeah.
You guys remember?
Yeah.
And she's these knickknacks, and then she's like, "Oh, you know, some people, they find comfort in objects," and she's like, "That's some BS." And then at the end, she's like hugging the little object. Yeah.
The mom did bring up something interesting when she said, when she was in that therapy session, she was talking about how like, oh no, this is for white people. And it's interesting because that is a big thing in communities, especially in Latinx, and I guess in the Black community. I don't want to speak, but for them, but like I think that's a big thing.
Color, I think mainly
that you know, going to see a therapist means that you're crazy, and you know you don't want to seem like that or whatever that means. I guess. Yeah, there's a taboo for talking about your feelings and going to seek help. And she did bring that up, so I thought that was kind of like, oh yeah, it kind of is. But I like how she ended up opening herself to her and realizing that, you know, she needed to also get over the trauma of losing her husband as well, aside from the daughter, you know. So that was good to bring up. You're like showing the comments on there.
I'm trying to reply.
Yeah, I have to say the friendship between the girls is the best. I'm sorry, I just loved all three of them together, and I love the fact that she wasn't a great friend, like in the sense of like she was having trouble with her friendship, like she was like with her issues and stuff, and then that happens, you know. Like you're just sadly sometimes you're in your own world because of what you're going through, and you're not going to be there for your friends. But also like how her friends stood up to her as well, because that's what friends do, you know. They have to be honest with each other because you care about each other, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I thought that was very realistic because I think that when someone is going through something, it's something as massive as like grieving the death of a parent. It can be so overwhelming that everybody else's problem is belittled in your mind. It's like, oh, you didn't go to class today? Oh, whatever. You have a secret crush on somebody? My dad just died, dude. Like, you know, like your problems become like massive. And I think the show did a great job in like, yes, this is Debbie's story, but it's how Debbie then ended up treating everybody else in her life. Because at one point she really detaches from everybody because she couldn't deal with her own stuff. And one of my favorite moments, and I spoke about it during my review, was when one of her friends says like something along the lines of like, you know, we need our best friend and you're not her right now and we miss her. And it's not like in a bad way. It was like you're acting like a different person. So we had to kind of deal with our own problems on our own so that we don't interfere with you or your drama. And I thought that was like very mature for like a teen drama to do, because usually they just kind of like bicker and fight and
Yeah.
You know?
No, that was very mature.
No, that was very mature. That's why I love how they just, I don't know, they I don't know what to say. Well, I guess that how they were just open with how they felt, you know.
I wanted to move on. What did you think about the narrator throughout the whole show?
I didn't know who he was. I thought it would. I wanted to know, and I should have like looked into it a little bit more as to like, I know a little bit as to like how it is connected, right? So the dad really loved this guy. It was like his hero, and they were trying to mix the story that was happening with the sport, like the sporting event was like this. It was like she was on a match or on a game. But I thought it was interesting that he was an older white man, and it was kind of crazy. There was the one episode when they were, I think it was like a slumber party or something, and they were looking at like the female reproductive system or something like that, and the narrator was like, I don't want to see this. Like, I don't it's weird. But then I wish though that we would have seen, instead of I mean, I know why they did it. It definitely brought us a little bit of a sympathy for her enemy, her nemesis, the guy. I keep forgetting his name, because even though he was like rich, he didn't have the love of his parents. I wish that instead of dedicating an episode to him and having Andy Samberg, narrate that episode, I think that it would have been wise if we could have seen maybe even her cousin. Like, her cousin had a very interesting story, and I would have liked to have seen an episode on her, or maybe on one of the best friends, or maybe on the mom, and had another random narrator come in and speak.
Actually, it was interesting that he got an episode. I mean, I liked his character, and I liked their like frenemy type of academic relationship. Like, that was interesting. I also felt bad for him, but it was interesting it would have been cool to get like also one of the best friends. I was talking about that with you actually. To have her have an episode, like the one who had the mom pop up out of nowhere, because that's big, or something.
God, like, I mean, I think every mom should be perfect, but all three moms had issues. Because that little scene when they all kind of confronted each other.
That was crazy. And the fact that the mom was jealous of her because she had the lead role, and I was like, oh my God. But that happens.
That
like
happens in real life.
That happens in real life.
Tough to see, because you don't want to ever think of anyone in a parent role to be like, to admit to being jealous of their kid.
That was crazy.
That was crazy. For us, the narrator, I'm going to go back to the narrator, because I felt like he was funny at times. At first, I didn't understand why he was in it. And then, they made the association with the dad. And then I was like, you know what? I mean, he's cool. He's kind of funny. I'll take him. Sometimes I love narrators, but then sometimes the narrators are like, I don't know.
It's a mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag, But
it depends. I used to watch Jane the Virgin a lot, and if you guys seen it, it has a narrator, but the narrator had a personality of him own. And so sometimes, like, something that you won't find it to be funny or whatever, the narrator, even like, because of the narrator, the scene actually was elevated and heightened, because you would hear the narrator go, or you would hear him say, that's not important now, but remember that for later, or like something like that.
I loved him. And I love the fact that, talk about James Person, sorry, we're like, but I love the fact that it was the son, because I got the feeling it was the son, even from the first season. So I like that it was actually him when he grew up.
Also, it really did turn out to be
because
that's what we did talk about.
It turned out to be the son as an adult. That you bring up the ending scene, when they have to, I guess this is a spoiler, when they have to say goodbye to the dad finally. Oh my God, I was crying.
I was crying too.
I was literally crying when she got there. And it was because a lot of these shows, it's always the dad with like the son or dad with the father relationship. It's never the mom and the daughter or mom and son or whoever. Like it's never that relationship is very important, like or shown a lot. So I love the fact that it was actually about how I guess tethered or I don't know, broken, I guess their relationship is, and how they're still trying to mend it, and how it start that argument, and how, you know, how tough it is for the mother. Like she has issues with the daughter and the daughter has issues with her. But in the end, you know, when they were just breaking down, just having to say goodbye to the dad, and like it was beautiful. But the things they said to each other was real, yo. Like it was like, yeah, like when she says about the mom, like I hope you were the one that died. I was like that happens. Like
that
was
intense.
That was intense.
I didn't expect that in the show, actually.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are just like blow your mind, or like you're like you're shocked at what they said in the show, but it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that they gave the mom little scenes, because through the mom we saw that the mom was also grieving.
Yeah.
And then we are meant to believe that the mom and the daughter, they both had a very special relationship with the dad.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was a scene, and I think I like the fact that the writers of the show delayed, like there was like a story within a story, because you would watch in flashbacks that maybe there was a fight between the daughter and the father, and then they that towards the end, and you're like, oh no, it was the mom. Like all this time it was like a fight that they had, and that was the last fight that that they had in front of the dad. But the fact that we also saw the mom, like when she first came to the country and she was pregnant and she really didn't really like it here, and it was a dad who kind of was like, you know, funny and great, and like, yes, like do this and do that, and let's make this work. Really brought me back to the whole point of like, sometimes I think that we don't value the sacrifices that our parents make. Like I mentioned that in my blog post, because they come to this country as adults most of the time. They don't know the language, or they knew in the show. But let's say, for example, my mom, like she made, like, I can't even imagine myself now as a almost 30-year-old, like moving to like a completely different country and like starting my life over there. And these people do that. Like our parents are immigrants. They do that. And when they have children, it's like, I want you to do better. I want you to be the best. And that can also like cause like pressure and tension, because like, the mom was like, okay, so there's this dean of studies of this university, and you have to like charm him up and like, you know, prey on the fact that you need to go to college and all that stuff. And even though she was still in a good like academic track, I think that puts a lot of pressure on anybody, but also Debbie, who was also going through counseling, but she also needed to maintain her grades and, you know, be perfect in every other way to basically be a good daughter to her mom. And her mom even wanted to go back at the end. I don't know. What do you guys think about that part when her mom says, you know, like,
wanted to go back? Well, her mom was so, you know,
I guess
true to her. Oh, she was overwhelmed, but true to her religion, like the Hindu religion, and just, you know, even in the Hindu Ganesh celebration episode, she, you know, she didn't feel like she was accepted, or, you know, like she was being judged all the time. So I could see like she had her own identity issue within that, like wanting to go home and be a part of something, of part of her family. So I felt like, yeah, I would probably want to go home too, you know, but I think it was more of her personal feelings and emotions, where of course she wasn't really listening, you know, taking in what was going on with Debbie.
And I guess she just wanted to escape,
yeah,
from the problems, you know, and everything that reminded him of, I guess, her life with her husband, or her life there.
Basically, like everything in the house reminded her of him.
Yeah. So sweet.
Yeah. He was so sweet.
All his episodes, I was like, oh, he's so
Predictions
sweet.
for season 2, because I think I saw someplace that season 2 was coming out. I hope to see the dad.
Wait.
Like in season 2.
Oh, you mean like in flashback?
Yeah, flashbacks.
Oh,
I really
okay.
want to still see the dad.
Yeah, like to like grow that story more out.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
I think there's so much possibility there. How about you? What are your predictions?
I wouldn't mind if they even do, maybe they don't move to India, but maybe they do a trip so that the mom can still like satisfy that feeling of home,
Yeah.
but still come back, and we will be able to see a culture shock for Debbie. Maybe it would be that the cousin is getting married and they need to go to India for that or something like that. I a little bit more of the cousin. I mentioned this also when I did my review, that I like that they gave her, a little personality, a little punch, because she could have also been one of those like, I'm only here to be Debbie's rival as the pretty, perfect cousin. And it turned out to be that she wasn't, and that she really wanted a different life for herself, and that she was struggling. And that scene when she meets that other Indian woman who chose to go against her family, and she was shunned by the community, and that woman tells her like, hey, don't do it, like go, just do what the family says, like marry the guy, you don't want to be without your community. And that's kind of like solidified her decision, and like breaking up with her college boyfriend. But then I don't quite remember exactly how it ended with her, but I would like to see more of her in season 2, because I think that they did a good job in making her character a little bit more dynamic than what you would think her character initially was. Because her character initially was, oh, my cousin is so beautiful, like she makes people walk into a wall when they
Yeah, exactly.
And the mom was always like comparing the two, and like, oh, this, your cousin is doing, the most Indian thing possible, or like whatever. And she was like so happy to watch like something like Riverdale and like American TV where they have choice. And she was like, what? There's a choice? You can have boyfriends? What's going on?
Yeah.
I want to see their relationship grow, because I actually think that they have more in common, and we realize that towards the end, they have more in common than they do not in common.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I love that she had boyfriends and stuff. Like she was sneaking around.
Yeah.
That
like, you know what? You know what I'm saying? Like all this diversity.
He was cute too.
And he was cute. Yeah, for real.
And he really liked her.
I know. I kind of felt bad, but she didn't want a serious relationship with him, which is understandable.
But then, but when she saw that guy, that
oh right,
that always happens.
Was like, can I return the other one?
Yeah, exactly.
She was like, oh, hold up.
Like, didn't something happen between, like, during their family dinner, or like, didn't he find out about it? I don't know. I don't remember exactly what happened at the very end with them too.
He did find out about her boyfriend.
And I think they were gonna go on dates.
They were gonna just start dating.
Like just start dating, like
okay.
Slow.
Taking it slow, which is what I like the way it ended with their relationship, and just taking it slow.
Yeah, I would like more from her too.
Exactly.
But she was interesting. I like that.
American life, and like I love the episode when she's like watching Riverdale, and like that somehow inspired her to like rebel against her family. Like, I have choice. These American teens, and defy my mother, because let me tell you, like sometimes I've been watching, like especially growing up, I watch these shows and I'm like, this will never happen in a Dominican or like a Latina household. Like I can't talk to my mom this way. So it was kind of like living vicariously through these like white folks and on TV, where they can say whatever they want to their parents and they don't do anything. And I'm like, oh, is that what it's like to like say something and not be slapped?
Or hit with a chancleta, or like
I know.
Like you
fascinated. I will be too if I, what I mean? Like she grew up in a very strict household, I bet. So like when she comes here, she's like, what? And she like obsessed with that show. I don't know. It's like, oh wow, look at these teens in this show. They're and I think that they did that purposefully, because the teens in Never Have I Ever were going through something a lot more realistic and real than those in Riverdale.
Yeah. I tried to watch Riverdale. I couldn't.
I couldn't get into it either.
Again, I don't know what it is. I just couldn't get into it.
Because I'm a huge Archie comic fan. I had comics growing up. I even had a Betty and Veronica comic special, and I used to love their show. Archie's Weird Mysteries, and I read the Archie zombie comics as well. And I mean, it's just, I don't know. It started off okay, and then it just turned into something like every season that you watch, they reboot the story. Like it's they're in the same town, but they reboot the mystery.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's crazy. It gets crazier and crazier and crazier. And then midway through, you don't know what you're watching. Like at one point, there was like some sort of cult, and it was like weird.
All right,
That's
that's
weird. Dang.
So Never Have I Ever definitely had like a lot more real moments.
yeah.
Right.
No,
Yeah,
it definitely
for sure.
did.
Yeah, so we totally recommend it. Oh, but I wanted to ask you, are you Team Ben or Team Paxton?
We broke the mental test. Like now we went from like having like this high-end conversation to like, who do you think is cuter?
No, but not so much cuter, but like who
No,
you
I know what
really
you're talking about.
connects with. Like,
I was like, yes, I'm a 30-year-old, and I'm going to talk about how like
who
which
is
one
30-year-old?
high school boys. Okay.
He looked 30. He looked 30. When I first saw I was like,
older. He's definitely older.
yeah.
I would have loved to have seen a little bit more about Paxton, because I think that they introduced the fact that he wasn't the douchey guy that we would think he was.
Yeah.
When we were at his house and he talked about his sister and all that stuff. He then did like a complete 180 and went back when he used her for the project.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben, I think, was a little bit predictable.
Yeah.
That they were gonna get together.
I predicted that too. I can tell you.
Yeah.
But I think Paxton, especially in the second season, I don't think he would give up that easily. I think that that they had like a very genuine. I like the fact that he, after everything that they went through, even when he, he kind of humiliated her in front of everybody in school, because he was like, oh, like, don't talk to me anymore or whatever. Mm-hmm. He saved her from the coyote, and he was there during the celebration. That's when she had the whole conversation of like, I'm not Indian enough for people, and he was like, you have to be you. And he gave her that like little speech. I have high hopes for him. I like seeing a redemption arc. I would like to see him be worthy of her.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say because then it just gives it away. But I just really want more complexity between the guy characters and then their relationship with her. Because I feel like there's so much complexity between the girls and them, but I don't get as much that from the male characters. And for me, it was like watching the male characters, like if I was watching an old TV show or something like that, where I felt like there wasn't a balance, really. Like for me, I felt like Paxton was kind of like the typical
popular boy.
Yeah, and then he changes a little bit and he goes back, and I kind of felt like that a little bit about Ben too. Like I felt like,
rivalry, and of course they end up together.
Yeah. So I just wanted to see a little bit more complexity between those guy characters.
The guy Paxton, he reminded me of the character from Awkward too, because doesn't he? I don't know if you guys seen the series, but like the main dude, he starts off very much like Paxton. But I think that with Ben, it was interesting to see a glimpse of his life when that little glimpse where you saw his relationship with his girlfriend, and you was a girlfriend that was using him for the money and you know, I don't all for the, I think he used to like write her papers or something for her. Like there was some sort of weird exchange there, and it was to see the other side too, where in a way they were both being used by these more popular kids. But I think that Ben, the fact that their relationship was from the beginning like academic rivals, I do like that. I did like that. It was because I think that if it was as if they had a love triangle from the very beginning, I think that would have been a little bit more typical. But Ben was not even a contender. We knew because we've seen these before. But let's say, for example, we've never seen.
You know what? That's so funny that you said that because I totally didn't get that. I felt like from the beginning he was a contender.
Oh.
I really felt.
And he used to call her like he used to call her names or whatever.
How many times have you heard that and have you seen it in a TV show or even in real life? Well, oh, he's treating her badly. He must like her. That's what I got from that.
Stop that narrative. Like we need to stop.
Yeah,
that narrative. That is what I got from that.
So much. Because he
didn't treat her. I mean, I just think that they were rivals. I actually think that if, let's say, for example, Ben would have been a young woman, not for her to like have like a gay relationship, but for I think that the show could have been a little bit less predictable if her main academic rival was another young woman.
Oh, yeah.
One of the girls from I love seeing that mock UN. Oh, that was
amazing.
That was good.
Let's nuke America.
Like, that was crazy.
Of the girls that were so impressed by the fact that she was a nerd, but she was dating a popular kid. Like she was dating a popular kid. Oh, I love that. And they were like, "Oh, teach us your way." Like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, that was cute. That was adorable.
I love that.
What was the word that you said this show is?
Enduring? Oh no, endearing. Yes, endearing.
Yeah,
it was endearing.
Yeah, it's a really enjoyable show. It's like you can't watch it once you start. It's like you can't stop. You just want to know where it ends.
I know, and I think that compared to, so I wanted to bring this up earlier too. So I watched The Kissing Booth, The Perfect Date, I think that's what it was called, and then also The Politician and Insatiable. Like I watched all of these teen dramas on Netflix, and also To All the Boys I Loved Before. And none of them I think had the right balance between heart and humor and like the social complexities that we're talking about, like this one. I think this one is by far the best one. So I think the other one sometimes can be a little bit like either overly like sexual, like representing teens in like a lot of like sexual situations, or like the goals and things are not 100% realistic. Like I don't know if you guys seen Insatiable or The Politician. Like they go like to the other extreme.
Oh wow.
Different like genre, but I love this one, and I think that it's a great representation of this. I hope it's not a trend, but I've seen a lot more Asian Americans or Asian characters like stepping up into like mainstream since Crazy Rich Asians. And then at the beginning of the year we had Korean movie being Best Picture, Best Foreign Language, and then Best Picture, which was Parasite. And then we have To All the Boys I Loved Before, also the half of it. If you guys haven't seen it, I recommend it.
I want to see it.
Yeah, so that's another one to like compare, because I wanted to like talk a little bit about it, but we can do another compare later, because this one I think has it's complex, but but the main character is very, very different. And I like the fact that now we have choices when it comes to all of these Asian American dramas. I want to see more Latinos in YA, because I don't think we have like something like On My Block, but I want to see more.
Yeah, definitely.
I would love to see more too.
Me too. Oh my gosh, thank you for joining us, Maggie.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys. I'm like, I don't know why. I'm like, oh, you're welcome. Because you like my opinions, really?
No, we do.
No, you bring it up so well. Like your topics and everything.
You're very professional. I love that about you.
I try.
Yeah. So we're definitely gonna share your information in the description once the video is officially up. But yeah, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm the busiest on Instagram, so it's at Pinkleo_Productions, and I would love to keep collaborating with you ladies. I think that there's a couple of other shows that I can even like suggest for us to compare, because I think that a lot of people do reviews, but we are coming from a different perspective, being women, being Latina. I think that we have different eyes. Like when we look at something, at least for me, I'm automatically looking for like, where's my Latina character? Does she have a name? Does she have a complex story? If not, I'm definitely I'm gonna tell you about it.
Yeah.
Where's my complex female characters? Like I look for those things, and I think that when we watch TV, no matter what it is, what genre it is, I think that it's something that I always keep in mind, and I love talking to other young Latinas too, as to like, what do they think about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna say real quick that keep wearing those masks, social distance. Take care, everybody. We love you. Please take care of yourself and take care of your neighbors.
Wear masks.
Wear masks. Thanks, Maggie.
Bye.
Peace. We out of here.
Like, wear those masks.